Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
The world is veiled in darkness. The wind stops. The sea is wild, and the earth begins to rot. The people wait, their only hope, a prophecy. When the world is in darkness, 4 warriors will come. After a long journey, 4 warriors of light arrive, ready to talk about some of their favorite games before the world is lost to darkness. And that's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your Guildmaster, Rick Perry, and Black Mage of the Casters Guild.
And I am Baron Black Knight Kane.
And joining us tonight are 2 guild members. Feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Tiffany, and I want to ride my chocobo all day.
Wow.
Hi, I'm Leo, and I'm here to, just give you guys support.
That was my job. You guys are supposed to do all the talking. So wait, no, I got that. The Black Knight's name was Kane, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that just worked out for you, didn't it?
I did.
How uncanny.
I got a lot of blank looks, and I didn't know if that was because it was just a dad joke level joke, or if I got it wrong. So I had to clarify.
So, in case you haven't guessed, we're here to talk about Final Fantasy and all of its games and offshoots, and
all of the Final Fantasies.
We'll start in order, starting with number 1.
Well, actually, normally we start with what's your favorite, but before we go into that, I do have to do a little bit of trivia here. As long as we're making the joke that there are so many Final Fantasies, I have to bring up the fact that the game was intended to be the Final Fantasy when the first one came out. This small game company, Squaresoft, was failing hard. They had one more chance to make a game. They decided to make a small little game called Final Fantasy. And it just sold so well, it saved their company. And now we have all of these games.
They made a good 4 or 5 attempts before that, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they were tanking hard on all their games that came out before that. Yeah.
And let me point out how well that game had to have done to take a failing company and completely save it.
Oh yeah, they were convinced that they weren't making any more games. They were like, this is the last one.
If they didn't do it this time, they were fucked.
Yeah. So, let's start the way we usually start. And what is your favorite Final Fantasy?
7, by far.
You want to expand on that at all? Or
it's just the general gameplay, the storyline. I mean, there were so many little hidden gems here and there before it got too complicated and intricate. With 10 and beyond that, it's you really have to go online and figure out what you're doing. Whereas 7, you can go through and find everything on your first try, as long as you know how the game plays.
I mean, if you don't look up how to get Yuffie or Vincent your first time through, you can lose.
Well,
but I understand what you're saying.
Vincent, yeah. Yuffie, I mean, if you actually go around and level up like you're supposed to in those games, you're going to find Yuffie eventually, and you're going to have to go through the process of trying to get her. Vincent, on the other hand, definitely, you have to look that up. It's not Yuffie, really part of the storyline.
If you choose the wrong dialogue option, when you talk to Yuffie, she'll steal all your shit, and you'll never see her again. So...
And say I've had to approach her a few times, and each time she steals your shit, but you can come back and you can get her again.
It depends on which one you choose, but there is a dialogue option where you'll never see her again.
Yeah, she just takes all your runs. She takes all your materia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What a jerk.
She is.
Tiffany?
I love her so much.
Good old Wu-Tai.
I think 7 is the most popular. A lot of people know 7. Like, when you think of Final Fantasy, most people think, oh, 7.
Yeah.
But 8 is absolutely my favorite. I absolutely love 8. It was actually the first one I played, which is probably why I have such a strong attachment to it. But I can play that one over and over and over, and I have. And I pretty much have memorized it.
Good old Leon.
Yeah.
Sure!
Leon and Squall.
I will say this, that
Squall. His name is Squall.
This is
Squall.
not a
Leon and Squall.
You were saying, Baron?
Sorry.
This is not a...
this is not an insult in the least. But I'm noticing that, like, the people who are, like, Final Fantasy is, like, 7 and up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are, like, the people that are, like, Doctor Who is David Tennant and up. Or not David Tennant, Christopher Eccleston and up. Like, that's just where it started for them. And again, that's not an insult at all, because Christopher Eccleston was awesome. Final Fantasy VII was awesome. But it was just, you can definitely tell that there's 2 distinct schools of people when it comes to, well, actually 3 now.
Oh, yeah.
There's 3 distinct schools.
Because there are people that haven't played the actual Final Fantasy; they've only played online. Like
Right. Yeah, it's like that's all it is to some people. And like, you know, some people are like, "Hey, you want to play some Final Fantasy?" I'm like, "Oh, I mean, I can, sure. I mean, take turns. Is that what you want to do?"
That's what I usually think. Like,
they're like, "No, you're supposed to come join my server."
Right. Server? What is server?
What city is that? Where do I...
where?
So, I guess for my favorite, I'm going to go... I want to say the first one. Because the first one, in my mind, was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It had... I can see why it completely saved a company, especially at that time period. But I think I'm going to go with Final Fantasy IV.
That was a really good one.
Which I will have to point out.
Are we saying American 4 or Japanese 4?
Whichever one this wiki article is telling me.
Okay.
I think it's the Japanese 4.
Okay.
But it's the one with Kane Highwind.
Okay. I think that's Japanese. That's actual 4. Okay, I believe, yeah.
Which I think is funny because I loved that storyline with Kane Highwind, but I also related to it because, you know, it's my last name. Then I'm looking at this wiki article just to verify if it was the Japanese 4 or the American 4. Come to find out, this motherfucker is from a place called Barron.
So you're Baron Kane, and he's Kane of Baron.
Yeah.
So is that Baron Japanese Baron or Baron American?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Oh.
I think I was kind of a jerk to even ask. I don't think 4 was ever released. I don't think there was a 4 in America.
No.
I think...
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it went 1 and 2, and then 6 got released as 3 in America. And then America never got a 4, a 5, or a 6. I don't know.
All I know is I played this game in America.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what number it was. I thought it was 3 or 4. But
I know there's a Sid in every Final Fantasy game. Like there's always Sid.
Yeah.
Like they kept that name through the entire series, and I do love that. Like having a repeating character, whether they're the same character or not. Like it's still nice to have that recognizable name and like to kind of keep it.
Sid in 7 was definitely the best though.
You could actually play as them.
Yeah, that's why he's the
there
best.
was a there's always
a
Sid,
side character.
and there's almost always the Star Wars reference of Biggs and Wedge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Who's your favorite Sid?
I think we all just agreed it was 7.
Oh, I know. I said 7.
I do like Sid in 7.
I liked 15 Sid. It was actually a chick.
Yeah.
She was scantily clad, but she was kind of a badass.
Scantily is an understatement.
True. But she definitely didn't take any shit from anybody, and she was a mechanic.
No.
Like she was the best. Yeah.
She was a badass. I loved it.
She was a pretty badass woman.
Put a different spin on it. But you still had the character in there. It was just a different character. Like they always had that character in there. They just changed it from game to game. Like, and I love that aspect of it. Like, they always have at least that one aspect in each game. Like, and it kind of, it's almost like a namesake. Like, oh.
I will just kind of finish off this round. I will say my favorite Final Fantasy is 6.
All right.
Care to elaborate on that?
6, or is that American?
So no one has anything
That's
favorite besides-
Japanese 6 because
10.
America didn't get a 6.
I was just fine.
So it had an excellent job system. Well,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
The-
sorry.
the
I
villain
did
was
like 9's job system, like the sphere grid.
Mhm.
I liked that.
the villain was great. 6 was like the first one where your decisions like truly affected the story. Like you could
Mhm.
actually like fuck shit up.
Yeah.
There was a great big time skip in it where like everything you did in the first half affected the second half. Just
Oh yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry. I said that out loud. It was in my head, but it came out of my mouth. Sorry.
it's fine.
So you
That's
just
why I like
got
Final Fantasy Tactics, because they finally brought in like the job system back. Like,
Oh yeah.
that was pretty
Yeah.
neat.
Final Fantasy Tactics was way more fun than it should have been.
I agree.
Mhm.
That was a fun one.
I mean, I think I worded that correctly too, because it's like if you were to tell me the concept of that game, I'd be like, that is dumb.
No,
Right? No.
Well,
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
but
Since,
actually
uh,
playing it was a lot more fun than it seemed it would have been. I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
this
think
is
it's the
actually
job
more enjoyable. Than, like,
It's
yeah,
the job system completely.
Yes.
I actually felt like I was playing a role playing game, like D&D and
Mhm.
shit.
yes, thank you. Like that's why I loved it. I was like, this is like, they need to bring this back into the newer games. And they brought out like Brave Exvius, where they kind of have a job system, but it's not quite there. Like,
Right.
it's good for a mobile game, but it's just not all the way there.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
I will say the newest Square Enix game for the Nintendo Switch, Octopath Traveler, while it doesn't necessarily have a job system, I thought it did. It feels like an old school RPG. Like it feels like something you'd find on the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 1, and you've got 8 different stories to play through, and you get to choose the order that you play it through. And I think they did a really good job. I think it's almost an homage to those earlier Final Fantasies.
Even the look of it, like it's a newer, modern look, but it still has the old feel.
Mhm.
Looking at it.
I think that's one of the only Final Fantasies I haven't played yet. Like, I don't have a Switch, so.
It's technically not a Final Fantasy. It's just made by the same people, but you know,
Well,
it's
It's got that feel of it though.
yeah.
Close
I'll
enough.
have, to,
I mean,
I'll have to look that up. I haven't explored my Switch very much at all. So if I can,
Well,
that's a
if
very
you-
dangerous thing to be waving around.
sorry.
No, he's
I thought it
not.
was right.
Don't-
I haven't
don't-
done it yet.
Hold on. Do
No
not
spoilers.
describe what I was swinging around.
no, no, we're gonna leave it
look
just
at
like
night.
that.
Oh.
Oh.
described it. Oh.
Or was it?
Oh.
If it's not a knife, it's a little too skinny and shiny.
So
That's just a matter of opinion.
we don't
Good
shame
point,
around
good
here.
point.
All
So-
knives are good knives.
Off topic.
Right there.
So, Baron, since you haven't looked into your Switch much, and anyone who is listening, Octopath Traveler has a very long demo available for free on the Nintendo Switch that you can just download.
Mhm.
You can play through like the beginning of like 2 of the character stories. Like it's a good half hour to an hour of gameplay, depending on how thorough you want to be about it. So you could definitely check it out for free.
That was actually my yearbook description.
To check it out for free for an hour.
No, the half hour of gameplay.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying something new out.
Eventually, one of these days, I need to get a Switch.
It's a really fun little system. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, the option of being able to pick it up and play somewhere else, and then even hooking it up to your TV to play like a regular system.
What?
Yeah.
And if you are a Final Fantasy fan, all the classic Final Fantasies are available for download on the Nintendo Switch.
Hot damn.
What about Crisis Core?
I loved Crisis Core.
So did I.
It made me cry. I loved it.
Me too. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit! Like, this is really good. I really
And
like it.
I loved Zack more than Cloud.
Yes, and Eric has always been.
Yes.
Aerith was my favorite character. Like, and the storyline between the two of them was just, it was very heartbreaking. I loved it.
They were meant. That, like,
Yes.
I'm so glad Aerith did not end up with Cloud, and Tifa's my favorite, but she got Cloud.
Sephiroth's my favorite, but still, like
the story
Well,
of Crisis Core was awesome.
Yes.
As a game, it was okay.
But the story made it a good game.
Yeah.
Like, I can forget the gameplay as long as the
tactics
story
too,
is good.
Yeah, like the battle controls are pretty fun. Like it required more thought process, but it wasn't too intricate to where you couldn't do it without like, overthinking. Like it was simple but still extravagant to where it was fun but not overcomplicated.
Little too much RNG for my tastes. I like if I'm playing an RPG especially, I am a number cruncher to the core. And I want to know exactly how much damage I'm doing versus the enemy's defense, which knows exactly how much damage they're taking and exactly how many attacks it's going to take them to go down. So I know before I even finish my third swing that they're going to go down and I can start heading toward that next enemy.
Yeah, so scan is for. Scan. Just scan them.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah. Because
but even then, you have to scan everyone before you do it, because like it's just
yeah, and there's way too much RNG because like you'll do one attack and do this much damage, and then like the very next time you do that same attack, it does an entirely different amount of damage. So
just do what I do and grind until you do max damage every time. Then you know you'll kill them. Yep, I just grind constantly.
Like if I go into an area and I literally have to like try more than like 2 or 3 times to do something, I'm just like, okay, I'll go back, grind a little bit, and then come back and be like, okay, fine, and just let them out.
Demolished. Yep, same.
I'm more the type to analyze and come back with a better tactic. So like I'm the one who casts haste and casts slow and knows this enemy is weak to this type of damage, so I'm going to do this type of damage, and I'm going to change out the weapons and the accessories, and I already don't like the look I'm getting from there.
I mean, it takes too long.
I'll do that for like certain bosses, but like for regular enemies, that's too much. That's too much work. Like it's not worth it. Just come out with more power and wipe them out with just basic attacks, and then use all your good shit for the bosses.
Yes, that's what I do. Yes.
It's efficient, is what it is.
It is efficient.
I don't spend it. No,
it's mentally exhausting,
grinding,
not time
consuming.
What we do is time consuming.
But that's
what he does is mentally exhausting.
What I do is very efficient, not time consuming at all.
But it's mentally exhausting because you have to literally do all the assets at the same time. Whereas what we do is we just grind and just overpower them, and then we use the tactics for little things on bosses.
Yes, much easier.
So it's more time consuming, but just a lot less mentally exhausting. I know for
a fact, Tiffany doesn't even use tactics on the bosses. She will wait until she's 30 levels above that boss and then go fight that boss.
Well, when the high level you get 99 and the boss is level 100, then you really can't get higher than them. So at that point, you need tactics.
Look, I'm pretty sure in the Art of War it says, and I am only saying verbatim, when facing off against an enemy, it is best to do so at least 30 levels above him.
See, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that is
a valid quote. It's a valid tactic.
Oh, is that direct quote? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you got it. That was not
pretty good. Yep. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. You see, but like what happens is when Tiffany reaches that boss that she can't over level for, that's when she hands the controller to me and makes me do the tactics.
After I've already tried. Like, I'll read up on it and scan it and throw some stuff at it. But I might use a GF here and there.
Look, my theory is if a fireball isn't going to do it, haste isn't going to do it either. So I don't,
Right?
See, I usually start with lightning, and if lightning isn't fast enough, then haste sure as hell going to do shit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
My level of tactic ends when I look at a monster that came out of the water and I know that it takes lightning. That's it. That's what I'm done.
That's just elemental. I mean, that's basic for most games.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy doesn't have a tendency to switch it up between games, though. It's like, why are you adding extra elements? Like, what is this for?
What is darkness? Darkness.
Yeah, and then they'll change what elements are weak to between games too, which is like, what do you mean water's not weak to lightning? What?
Water and electricity. No, always been a no.
See, now you use the gasoline element, and what? The what?
The gasoline on the wood element.
Mhm.
You have to use those together to be able to take out lightning. That doesn't make any sense.
And sometimes if you mix the
you might cause
two,
a fire.
and in some games, if you mix the two, you create a Phoenix Down.
Oh,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Final Fantasy's always been known for its vast crafting system.
Mhm.
I couldn't even.
Final Fantasy 14.
Oh,
God.
It wasn't advanced, but they had a crafting system.
that's true. It's true.
It
I have friends
was
who are
very
still
simple
playing
and basic,
14.
but it was there.
I have friends who are still playing 14. I tried. I tried on both the PC and the PlayStation 4, and I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, see, games that are made for PC, playing them on PS4, not a good idea.
I tried it both ways though. I tried being an archer, and I tried being a summoner, and just I couldn't get there.
I also tried it, and it didn't feel like a Final Fantasy game to me. Speaking of which, neither did 13. 13 did not feel like a Final Fantasy game to me, which is why I'm a fourth of the way through it and have stopped.
Have you guys ever played Final Fantasy Type 0?
I own it. I have
You
not played
haven't.
it.
Final
It's
Fantasy
like hard
what?
game Type 0.
Oh, Type 0.
I hated it.
Is that the
I
one
have
where
never
there's
really-
dead chocobos?
Yeah, Tiffany
never
refused to
really
play
liked
it because a chocobo died in the trailer.
Yes!
Nope, won't do it.
Like, I
No,
never
no.
disliked the Final Fantasy game until I played that one. I was like, I fucking hate this. Like, it is literally just a filler for nothing. And I'm like, what? There's no... They're all based on cards. Like, it's just a deck of cards playing Final Fantasy. It's like, that's not what this is.
Kingdom Hearts did it, and it was semi-successful, so Final Fantasy went, okay, we'll do that now.
Well, they had a card-based version of Kingdom Hearts. This was like, they were all based on the actual playing cards. Like, there was an ace, there was a 2, there was a 3, 4, all the way up to king. Like, they were literally a deck of playing cards playing Final Fantasy. And it's just like, that's not acceptable.
I don't like, no. With dead chocobos, no. No.
And, yeah, no.
Ooh.
Mm-mm.
An
No.
An undead chocobo.
Chocobos are amazing.
Awesome.
That would be awesome, but it has to die first, which is
Right,
not fun.
no, that's not okay.
Okay, so the chocobo dies of natural causes, and then you raise it.
Look, I will drown a chocobo in a bucket of water just to get a nice zombie one. I'm just saying.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
Oh, come back, we have Moogles.
Moogles, you say?
Yes.
I like Moogles.
Oh no.
That's why I
Do
like
you
9 a lot.
Moogles? Do you like Moogles?
Yeah.
Don't do it. You're so mean.
I think that's why I like 9 so much, is 9 has a lot of Moogles in it. Like, all your save points are little Moogles. Like, and it was adorable as hell. Like, I loved it.
I'm not gonna lie. I fucking loved 9. I loved it. I know a lot of people hated it, and it was very silly, but I loved it that it got back to that fantasy element.
Yes.
It was fun. Yeah, it was definitely a fun one.
And I'm sorry, Tiffany, but I prefer 9 more than 8. Like, the magic drawing in 8 really just pissed me off. Like, the storyline is great. Like, I love the story. I love the cinematics of it. It's just how you get your magic, having to draw it from enemies, and then, like, you have to attach it to your, like, strength and all that. If you use your magic, you're literally getting rid of your strength at the same time. It's just, like, I didn't like that, like, double-edged sword of magic. Like, that was my only drawback from it.
Well,
Like
you're-
9, where like each magic you got from your weapon. Once you train that weapon and got enough experience point, which I love grinding, so I had no problem with that. Like, and voila.
Well, you are entitled to your wrong opinion. Also, there was there was an auto junction in Final Fantasy VIII that it just did it for you. Like, it made it the most powerful for you. That's fine.
Well, yes, they had auto junction, but at the same point, like, if you auto junction, like, say you auto junction Faraga to your strength, you use Faraga on a boss, your strength is going to go down each time you use your magic. Like, that's what I was talking about. Like, once you have that magic junction, each time you use it, unless you draw another one from whatever you're facing, you're losing strength on that magic. Like, that's the only backlash that I didn't like.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Okay, I
Tiffany
can see
doesn't use
that.
magic.
No, I don't.
So
I'm not a magic user. I'll use recover
fair. Look,
and
I
like
don't
life and
quite
Asuna.
understand what
I'm
I
a
was
magic
explaining
user. That's
earlier.
why I was very like.
I don't think you understand what I was explaining. Or Tiffany will grind until she's 30 levels above anything she's going to encounter, and then she just presses attack over and over again.
Oh, see, no,
against
I'm one of the people who,
everything.
like, I get 30 levels above. I'm just like, okay, well, multicast the Zaga, gone. Like, one spell and all of them are gone. Like,
I will if I
which is
have
why
to.
I didn't like it. Like, that's the only reason I didn't like it. Other than that, it's a great game. I didn't like how you got your magic having to draw it. Like, and if you didn't draw from every single enemy, you missed some of your summons too.
You do.
Like,
That is true.
and I didn't let, or not, sorry, GFs, sorry.
Yeah, GF.
But-
And that one's Guardian
Yeah,
Force.
Guardian Forces. Yep. I did like how they leveled up the Guardian Forces. You can teach them like different abilities and stuff. That was awesome. But like how you have to actually get your magic through like, and you can
Those little
lose your
pink-
abilities. Because like I'm a magic caster.
Yeah.
Like I love being a mage, and like that was my biggest withdrawal. Other than that, it was a great game. Like
Yeah, I will admit that the draw system, it's silly. You have to literally go around just finding draws, these little pink bubble things.
yeah. But on PS4, it's
yeah.
a lot easier because like you can like speed up the game like 3 times, and you're just whoop 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 whoop, whoop and you're good. Like so.
Very true. I also like the boost aspect on the GFs in Final Fantasy VIII. That was kind of cool. That was different.
Yeah, you have to press a button until it's at a certain point. You're like, oh, and if you keep pressing it, you lose it, and then
You
you have to,
fail. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That was a fun little boost.
8 did a lot of that contextual button presses, including every time you attack with Squall, if you press the button at just the right time.
Yeah. Even Leon's Bazookin.
Squall. His name is Squall.
Sorry. Leon was the other one. Sorry, my bad.
Leon was the name that they gave him in Kingdom Hearts.
Yes. His name is Squall Lionheart.
Yes.
Or Leonheart.
That's why I keep saying Leon because it's like they gave him Leon, and I'm like I keep him this here. Sorry. I only played it like twice, and I literally just started playing it again, so I can actually try to finish it this time.
I only brought it up at the top because I know it pisses Tiffany off.
That seems to be a trend on these podcasts. What can we say to piss Tiffany off today? Today on Casterfield, we piss off Tiffany.
Just wait until we have our entire episode on Queen of the Damned.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Did you not tell her we were doing that?
Well, I was gonna leave it a surprise, you know.
Oh, okay.
I quit. I'm leaving the guild. Tiffany has left the guild.
She's gonna start her own guild. We're gonna have guild wars, and then we're gonna have to do an episode on guild wars.
Oh.
You're welcome.
Drama in Caster's Guild. All right, so we've been spending awful lot of time on 8. Let's go towards some of the modern side of things. So 15 was cool. It was boy band on a road trip, but like I really liked a lot of the DLC that came out of 15, which was like the first time we really got DLC from a non-MMO Final Fantasy.
Don't they cook food in it too, or something?
They do. There's a lot of recipes you can do.
Damn,
and there's a whole wait.
I said I'm in.
Oh yeah, and it looks really good too because you can actually see them do it. But yeah, I actually platinumed that game. Well, I platinumed the base game. I have not done a lot of the DLC to it, but it's a really fun game. Again, that one made me cry. I get really invested. But it was a good one.
At the end?
Yeah.
Oh, I should probably finish
like the
it.
very, very end. Oh my god. Yeah, you should.
I
was about to say something, but I'm glad.
I realized how short the game was, and I was like, "What? It's already? Oh, fuck." Okay, fine. And I was
Where
like, "Nope,
are
I'll come back
you?
to it later."
Where are you in the game?
I was at the very end. I just never finished it.
Is he old now? Well, not old, but older.
Yeah, but like I just never finished it.
Yeah, you should. It gets really dark, like really dark.
I noticed it, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," but also it's the end, and I'm like,
But you can go back and play stuff. Like most of the other trophies I got were after the gameplay.
okay.
So you can still
That's
go back
something
to the
I'm
world.
afraid of, because like some of the games you can't just like go back and play, but like most of them you can. But like there's a couple where you're just like, this is the end, and you have to start from your last save point. Like I'm just like,
No, now you don't see him as him being old. It goes back to when it's the boy band era.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so keep going. You can go back.
I'll re-download
And then,
Yeah.
as I was saying, the DLC for it, once if you finish it, you can go ahead and play the DLC. And each DLC dives into a different one of the characters' stories, and you play as each one of the different characters as your main character. And as you play as each one of the different characters, it completely changes the gameplay mechanics. Like, Tiffany is no good at shooters. So when it came to Prompto's DLC, the entire DLC is a shooter. You pick up different guns and you play it as a shooter. And so she had me play through that DLC for her. And it was a ton of fun, I gotta say. And like, I do like that each one of those characters gets like entirely new gameplay mechanics and entirely new way to play the game for their own DLCs.
Was Prompto the cook or the cameraman?
He's the cameraman.
Yeah, I like Prompto. Like that's what I thought. Because like the cook was
I can't remember.
It wasn't Gladius or Noctis.
Neither.
Yeah, Gladio is the big boy.
And then Prompto, and then
what's his name?
Was it not Igneous or Igneal or
Igneous?
Yeah,
it's
Igneous.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to learn their backstories because it shows you how they become part of Noctis's crew.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to learn who and what they are.
That's also what I liked about Final Fantasy 15 as well. Is they came out with like the Kingsglaive movies and stuff like that, which were really cool. Like background to like the story of where it started. Like I really like that as well. But like it was good.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Like the game is beautiful.
It is. Like the graphics are amazing. I just feel like they spent too much time on the graphics and the gameplay and not enough on the storyline. Like I just feel like it's very short for a Final Fantasy game.
I made it long because I'm also the type of person that will do every single quest. Every single quest.
When you platinum something, it makes it a lot longer. But at the same point, like, the storyline itself is very short. Like unless you do all the side missions, all of the hunts, like it's a very short game. Like
there's one trophy. If you just go for that one trophy, it'll double the length of the game easily.
Oh my god, did it!
And that's killing that turtle.
The Animan voice? Oh yeah, I killed him.
It took me about an hour and a half just sitting there attacking the turtle.
Yeah, it took about an hour, yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, he doesn't attack back. I think he chomped at me like twice.
He's so big, like you just focus on his legs and you're fine. Like never attack his face and you'll be good.
Yeah.
Like,
I just sat there and hit the button.
Then, but...
Yeah, I just clicked the button and just sat there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I had it set up to where like I had like pretty much infinite like mana transport, so like I could just like constantly attack him and not have to worry about it. And it's like boop, 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 boop. And I just took out his legs.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it too.
Yeah.
But I got it. I killed him. I like the car.
It's the only Final Fantasy game to have a VR add-on.
Huh.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because you can play Final Fantasy Monsters of the Deep, and it's the fishing game except in VR.
Oh.
Which is fun. I've played it a few
like the
times.
fishing aspect in that one. Like
Yes,
it was better than the other fishing in any of them. Because I think was there any ones that had fishing in it? No. But for the games I played that had fishing in them, that like for RPGs, like this was definitely one of the more fun ones. Like it was not so like basic and like you throw it and it's just there. It's like you have to actually do a little bit. Like
you have to fish.
Yeah, you actually had to fish. Exactly.
I assume you did not play 15, Baron.
I haven't played anything after X2.
Oh, jeez.
Is it because you played X2 and it ruined everything for you? Is that why?
You know what? I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no.
10-2 wasn't great.
We can talk about some 10-2 because I was disappointed.
And like 10 caught a lot of flack. Like a lot of people said 10 wasn't good, but 10 I thought was great.
Get the fuck out of here. 10 was great.
That's what I'm saying.
Great.
10 was better than 10-2.
And then 10-2 came out, and it's like, what are you doing?
Waka. Just for Waka.
Yes, Waka and Lulu. I love the dynamic of Waka and Lulu.
Okay, yes, the dynamic, but I mean, Also, you know who did the voice of Waka?
No.
Fucking
Alan Tudyk? Was it Alan Tudyk?
It wasn't. It was Jake the dog.
Oh.
Oh, from Adventure Time.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
That makes sense.
I can't remember his name. I wanna do this guy credit here.
Yeah, I like 10. 10 was okay. 10 was not my favorite. I thought the Yuna and Titus thing or Titus was a little too chummy.
John DiMaggio. He's good.
But I loved Lulu. Like, she's one of my favorites. I love
She is my
Lulu.
favorite.
I love her.
I never understood her and Waka got together, but they made a cute ass baby.
Yes. They were a cute couple.
If there's anything I've learned from being a geek for so long, it's that the geek always ends up with the goth girl. So, I mean, like, Final Fantasy got it right, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. They gave the awkward ginger goth girl, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I happen to really enjoy Blitzball, which I know Blitzball is another thing
that was fun.
But I really enjoyed Blitzball. As long as you actually put work into Blitzball, it was fun and easy. But you actually had to talk to people. You had to recruit for your team. You had to, level up your players and actually, play the game.
I wouldn't be mad if they did a whole game just on Blitzball.
Oh yeah.
That would be pretty badass.
Work into it the recruitment of the people, and like maybe even get a manager so your team can get money, so you can buy different uniforms, different equipment, and then you can move up to like the playoffs and
sports. Final Fantasy sports.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So as long as we're talking about this, Final Fantasy X is not the only game that has a side mini game that could be a game unto itself. So what is your favorite Final Fantasy side game that should be its own game?
The card game from 8.
Gwent.
Yep. I love the card game. In fact,
but
9.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, I already told you. So.
Yeah. You just described Blitzball in great detail.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna have to stick with Blitzball as well. I mean, I just had way too much fun playing Blitzball.
I didn't enjoy playing Blitzball, but I can see why others did. Like, that just wasn't. I wasn't interested in it, but I know it was a really important part of that game.
For me, it wasn't just Blitzball. If it was just Blitzball, I wouldn't have liked it. But it was the recruiting and the actual management of your team that was just like, oh, this is its own role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. I loved that aspect of it.
The main reason I played Blitzball was to get the Jack shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because
it was the only way to make it better.
But that was great that they worked that into that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just like, oh, you know what? We have this side game that you could have fun in, but you don't have to. And then one guy's like, oh, but what if?
If you do, you get rewarded. It's like a lot of the Ultima weapons and a lot of the Final Fantasies. There is zero reason for you to have to go get the Ultima weapons. Like, you don't have to get a single one. And they're not always easy. But if you do, you're rewarded for it. Like,
they're a pain in
especially
the ass in 10.
I was about to say, especially in 10, I believe to get Riku's, you had to
hard
go
as fuck.
into... And to get Riku's, I believe you had to go into the Thunder Plains and dodge
200 lightning bolts.
Oh, was it 200?
200 lightning bolts.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I was like, holy crap.
They make you work for it.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple that were easy. Like, Titus's was pretty fucking simple. Like, it's like, oh, complete the game. You get his fucking shit. Like, whereas the other ones, you had to actually do things and go and actually work for it. Whereas his is like, oh, it's part of the game. Like, that's...
I thought Orange was really cool because the sword has its own story, and you found out the history of the sword as you went from place to place.
I also loved Orin's character in that game too.
He was a great character. Yeah, he was a great character.
Yeah, but the whole fact that he actually was he died a whole long time ago, but he stayed in existence to meet him with his father, and it's it was kind of touching at the same point.
Definitely, that was a good background story for him too.
Yeah, that's why 10-2 came out, and I was like, okay, what are they gonna do with this? And I mean, it was fun, but like I didn't really follow the storyline. I mostly just like played around with their like costumes.
I think 10-2 was definitely geared more toward the female game players.
Oh yeah.
And you could tell, let's change out their outfits. Let's be this girly girl squad. And I played it. I beat it just because I'm kind of a completionist when I play games. But the thing that got me is I loved Pain. I absolutely adored Pain, especially in the beginning. She was this.
Hold on. This is the thing about Final Fantasy. We're not talking about kinks right now. Let's just keep on topic.
Paine.
Oh.
Yeah, the other Pain. That Pain. That's what we're. It's totally what I was talking about.
Not as good Pain. The second kind of pain.
The other Pain, yeah, that Pain. We'll talk more about the other stuff later. Anyway, so stay tuned. Different podcast.
Oh,
that's
like
that one. That's the guild that Tiffany is starting now that she's leaving our guild.
Right, yeah.
That'll be my podcast. There we go.
Can I be a dual guild member?
Absolutely, as long as you agree with everything that I say. So anyway, the Pain from Final Fantasy X-2. In the beginning, she was this badass. She was like, ugh, fine, let's just go do stuff. Fine, I'll follow you, girls. And then toward the end, they have this little... Exactly. And then toward the end, they're all like, yeah, group high five. And she does the whole, yeah. And I'm like, oh, Pain. Why?
But it was so painful for her to say it. She's like, oh, yeah. That hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, they sucked her in, man. They sucked her in. They turned her.
I guess, since we did bring up X2, I will say this. As a male who was raised as a traditional young man in America, X2 did something that it was probably my first experience with it, and that was it made me question gender roles. It because I'm playing this game, and I'm having fun, and then halfway through I realize, oh wait, I'm just playing dress up right now. I'm essentially playing with digital dolls and dressing them up in different things. And I stopped playing it for a little while, and it really made me stop and think, it's like, am I bothered by this, or am I just confused at how I'm feeling right now? And it really was. It was just I was confused at how I was feeling and how much fun I was having playing this game. And but yeah, I think that was really my first experience with an actual questioning of gender roles.
See, and boys can play with dolls too.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it, boys have been playing with dolls for years, but they call them action figures.
Right.
We play with dolls.
At least something good came out of 10-2.
Yeah. No, I think it probably had that effect on many young people at that time as well.
Probably.
I would like to think.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure there's some, really toxic masculine guy out there like, what the fuck am I playing right here? And probably threw his PlayStation out the window. But I would like to think that it had a good effect on people. So.
Yeah, read any gaming magazine around the time that game came out, and yes, I can guarantee you there were people who felt exactly that way. I will tell you the weirdest game controller of all time came out of Final Fantasy X-2. Because if you got the special edition, you got the PlayStation 2 controller that was split in half, and it was Yuna's dual pistols.
Oh, neat.
And you had to hold the one in each hand in order to play the game. And that's the weirdest game controller ever. And not only so it's cool that you get a pair of guns or whatever, but like none of the buttons were in the right place. None of it.
And they don't connect either.
Yeah, like if you ever get a chance to play with it, I would recommend it just to get an idea of how not to design a controller. Because, like I said, none of it felt right. Like they didn't.
Oh no, it was way worse
in the right place.
Oh yeah, way worse.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I did like her Yuna's character development in 10-2. Like they actually made her more aware of herself, I guess. Like she
Yeah,
kind of
she
discovered
was
herself
princessy.
more. Yeah, she was very princessy, but she was like, I'm gonna go on an adventure and find myself, and she did. Like she definitely grew up in that game.
Yeah.
Which that was good because that also if
Yes.
females were
I did
playing
like her final
that
concert
helped.
though. Like her final concert in that game was pretty badass. Like the
Yeah, she
graphics
found
they used
herself.
for it was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
She
there was
found
some good-
herself. She found out that she was somebody else entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, she's
exactly.
like, oh yeah,
Like,
I'm not Yuna. I'm this other person.
hmm Oh no, she was Yuna, but this other person was also Yuna, but not. Yeah. Final Fantasy.
well, she was a reincarnation of Unalesca, and
Right.
then she wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, she found herself all right. She spent that game finding herself all right.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you guys play a different game. I
Along
wanna
with
play
Riku
this
and
game now.
Ping, finding herself as well.
Whoa!
Totally.
Yeah, where's this game again? I need to play it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Sid has videotapes.
I'm sure. No, that one is XXX, not XX. Different game.
Oh, that's X3, not X2. Sorry.
Right. Sorry. Different game. Released only in Japan.
Man,
But only blurred because they never show any genitals in Japan. It's always blurred out.
and,
The whole
and
game blurred.
X3 was just the worst. Oh wait, no, that's our
It was nothing but
X-Men.
one big blur. It was one big blur.
Right?
Your favorite summon, GF, Guardian Force, who's your favorite?
Knights of the Round. Sorry, go ahead.
That is pretty awesome. But that's a summon, not a GF.
Oh, I
Well,
thought
she's both.
Is there a difference?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a difference.
both.
But like, are you just
She-
for GFs or just for like?
she included them all.
Yeah.
All of them. Who's your favorite support character when it comes to not the main party?
Shit, that's hard.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
I like that there's constants in some of those, like Ifrit and
Rama.
Shiva. Okay, I like Rama. He's in most of them, not all of them.
Yeah. My favorite is Alexander in 9.
I like Alexander.
Like the entire castle is a summon itself. Like that was pretty badass.
Huh. I'm always
Other than
partial
that,
to
Shiva
Shiva.
and her uneven titties.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do like Shiva.
yeah, that was
She's
weird.
been in quite a few of them.
And they make her titties uneven. Like, and they don't like make them proportional. I like that. Like it's more realistic.
It is. And she's
Especially in
badass.
7. Her left tit is so much bigger than her right tit in 7. It is ridiculous.
I've not noticed.
I'm gonna say my favorite summon is Fat Chocobo.
Nice.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. He is cute as shit.
Fat Chocobo, I'm gonna crush you with Fat Chocobo.
I like the
Try
little
me.
creature summon.
Try me, bitch. You're gonna
He
get
would
crushed
sit on
by
her face
Fat
so hard.
Chocobo.
Like I like the Tonberries. I like the Carbuncle. They're all fun and cute.
I still want a
Carbuncle was
Tonberry
cute.
plush.
Yes.
They're out there.
I would love one of those. That would be fun.
Tonberries are not cute. They're terrifying.
That's why they're cute.
I'd say they're cute
Oh.
and terrifying. Come on now.
Mm-hmm. They
I'm
are.
totally gonna get a lizard mask and cosplay as a Tonberry.
Yes.
Oh, it'd be
That's
awesome.
terrifying.
That is
I-
badass.
I even have the Tonberry knife.
You do.
Oh. Isn't it just a butcher's knife? Well, not a butcher's knife.
It's just a little knife,
It's a chef's
Yeah.
knife.
It's a
Thank
yeah, little stabby knife.
a little stabby stabby.
Yep, yep.
Mm.
And I'm sure you have a black cloak, not black, brown cloak somewhere.
Yeah, I just need to get one of those Gregorian monk Gregorian monk robes.
Uh-huh.
Like some lantern.
Yep, lantern. Yeah.
Lantern's gonna be the hardest one, but even then,
Hobby Lobby. Go to Hobby Lobby.
I have a lantern, but it's not the same type of lantern, unfortunately.
They make them.
It would work if you have a big enough candle.
If you could cosplay anybody you want from Final Fantasy, if budget were no hurdle, what would you want to cosplay from Final Fantasy?
Sephiroth.
Hot. Want to touch the Ivy. I've always wanted to do Tifa and Lulu. I also want to cosplay.
I could see you as Lulu.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely want to do Lulu or Tifa. I really
Back
like
off.
Renoa too.
Yeah. Sorry.
I like those 3 females.
I think I would want to do Igneous.
Yeah, I can see you as Igneous.
I've discovered a new recipe. And we know Baron would do a Tonberry.
Yeah, I think
I would also love to see you, Baron, as a Moogle. Just a big old Moogle. With a book and everything. Walk around.
Moogle,
Save your
a Moogle
progress.
would be fun too, yeah.
Yeah, then you like you said, you could just walk around a convention dressed as a Moogle with your book and be like, "Can I save your progress?"
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. Actually, that's one of my favorite things is coming up with cool and unique ways to get especially celebrity autographs. But that would be a great way to just get other people's autographs and stuff, which would be neat to have them do a book. But like I had a thing where I was going to get toe tags, and I was going to go to like the horror conventions that I used to go to a lot and have the actors sign the toe tags for me.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's a good idea. Oh, that's
But yeah,
cool.
I like that. I like that with the book.
They actually have that book on SquareEnix.com merchandise. Like, it's an actual Moogle book.
Oh. I want it.
It's a thing.
Okay, one game we haven't touched on right now is 12. I really liked Final Fantasy 12.
I liked 12 a lot.
Like, I loved the graphics and the gambits on it. Like, being able to automatically have your characters do things for you without having to okay, I have to go in here and do this, and this. And when they redid it, they actually opened up the job selection so you can choose your job instead of it being chosen for you.
They did. And the world of it was so different than the other Final Fantasies. Like, it was very steampunkish almost.
Yes, I loved it.
With Final Fantasy 12 and all the gambits, I was in the Navy when that came out, and I had a roommate who was playing Final Fantasy 12, and he would literally grind all night because he would be sitting there sleeping, and then all of a sudden he would wake up and realize his characters weren't fighting, and he would just reach down to the floor off the edge of his bed and move the control stick around until he heard them start fighting again, and then he would go back to sleep.
Yep. Because your characters are really fighting on their own. You didn't have to do anything for them. As long as you had your gambit set up right, you were good.
You just watched. Sat there and watched.
It had some really cool characters too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I think, loved Balfour and Fran. I loved them.
Fran was my favorite.
Yes, I loved Fran.
Penelope was a little bit of a but Fran was definitely pretty badass.
Yeah, she was.
I love her personality too.
She was badass.
She was okay, fine, let's just get it over with. Let's go.
Are we gonna kill this or not? Let's come on.
Pretty much.
Yeah, she was awesome. But yeah, Penelope she reminded me, she has a lot of the Hermione feel to her. The snobby little, But
I'm a know-it-all,
I think
I'm not
Vaughn
really
needed her.
Unless you need healing, I'm just kind of there to just kind of annoy you.
Yeah, and whack people with my stick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I actually made her, now you can choose what jobs they get. You don't have to actually give them the job they have, and I made her a Bushido.
Okay.
So now she whacks people with her sword instead of a stick. So still not very useful, but she's more. Yeah,
she's trying.
So, what was your first Final Fantasy, and what made you decide to pick up the game?
Mine was 7, and I don't know. I just picked it up and I started playing it, and I loved it. I love the way the game developed. I love the character lines. Each one has their own story inside of the game. And it really develops pretty well. It's not super hard, but it's enough of a challenge to where you can't just play it through in one night.
True. There's a whole world you build. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany?
And you can buy a mansion.
You can. My first again was 8, and it honestly was my little brother's. It was not my game, but I started watching my little brother play games because at that point in time he was more into gaming than I was, and I was still at the age where I was my first gaming system was a Sega, so I was playing the Disney games and Toe Jam and Earl and those cartoony things. Final Fantasy VIII was my first adult game, so it was my first game to help me develop into that next stage of my life, and I connected with it. I actually understood what was going on between the characters, and from then on I was just hooked into RPGs.
There's another reason I like 7 is because like I grew up on like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and then like they came out with this on Final Fantasy 7 on PlayStation, and I started playing. And I was like, this is like you can actually get involved in the story. Like it's not just like a platform game where you're going left to right. Like it's much more in depth and it had a lot more detail to it.
Aaron?
It's one. The very first one. I really loved the Dragon Warrior series. And like I think that my favorite one out of that was Dragon Warrior 4, I think. It's the one where you can play like different characters through different generations. And
I believe that is 4.
Huh?
I believe that is 4.
Yeah. Like the one where you can play the merchant and you're really just, you're being a merchant throughout most of it. And so you have to go on like a little adventure. And then like later on in the game, that little town that he was in is a huge city now. So yeah, that was cool. But I had a Nintendo and I wanted a game similar to that. So I was just kind of looking around and we went to a flea market one time and someone had a game, and it looked very similar. I was like, you know what? I've never heard anybody talking about this. I think I actually made a discovery. So I went ahead and got it, and I loved it.
Awesome. I will say my first was also Final Fantasy 1. When I was growing up, I had an NES, or it was more apt to say my mother had an NES, and she
Yes.
had friends who would finish games and then give her those games, and those were the games that I would get to play. And as I was looking through the box of games that had been passed down from her friends, I saw this game called Final Fantasy. And I'll be honest with you, I picked it up and put it in my NES because it had a huge dent in the front of it.
Oh.
Like almost as if a gash was missing from the front of the game. And I just wanted to see if it would still work.
Gash.
And it did. I put it in, the game worked. And then I spent the next however many hours trying to figure out how to play that game because I had never played a game like it before. It had all been Mario and Kirby and Sonic and stuff like that. So
You forgot Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda, yeah. Which is what I thought I was playing with something like Zelda, and then like you get into combat and it's like, wait a minute, what is this? What's this menu?
So much more in depth, yeah.
And then so I probably spent 90% of the time that I played that game trying to figure out how to get off the first continent.
Me too.
Because I had no idea what I was doing. But by the time I figured out how to get off that first continent, then I was an expert at the game.
Oh yeah,
So
it's crazy.
I blazed through the rest of it, even though the rest of it's way longer than just the first continent. It's
Which
just
is actually, that's one of the main things I love about that game is because they have that continent. You can't go anywhere. They have that whole thing is just its own small enclosed game. And it's the prelude. It's all it is. It's a prelude. And you get that done, and it's like, well, here's a bridge. You go across the bridge, and it's like, oh, this is the beginning of the game.
Yep.
I fucking love it.
And they don't let you leave until you've really figured out that game. So, like,
right. Yeah, if you can't figure it out, you shouldn't move on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like 8. 8 did the
You
same
can't
thing.
move on.
Like 8's the same way. Like you kind of like have that little area where you can't go anywhere until you get to a certain point. And then once you like really figure out how it goes, like if you don't figure out what you're doing first, you're gonna be stuck in the little area by the garden. And then until then, like, oh, I can go over here and do this and that and over here, and then like, oh crap, I can go into this town. Like you really use a little bit of a vantage point, whereas like 7's just like, okay, here you go.
Go.
Yep. Go and figure it out. Oh, by the way, you can't go back to the city anymore. It's like, what?
All right, so let me take over here real quick. I was gonna wait for this to come up organically, and it may have, but I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start out the next series of questions with a guild decree.
Okay.
Okay.
My guild decree is Kingdom Heart games are also Final Fantasy games.
I agree.
You better, because you're in the guild, and it's a guild decree.
I can't. I'm not allowed to fight it. I mean, I would, but like,
See, without it being a decree, I still agree.
I would agree to the first two.
Yeah,
Well, that's
they
Definitely
were
the first one.
very Final Fantasy heavy.
Rick is
Like,
burning.
for
Here's the
being
thing.
Disney games, they were very Final Fantasy heavy. Like,
Kingdom Hearts 3 had no Final Fantasy in it.
No, not at all.
Okay.
There
Well,
was not a single Final Fantasy character in it.
okay.
There was no Final Fantasy in that game. And
There was
then
Moogles.
let's
That was
see,
That counts.
I never played 3.
Final
So-
Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy
No.
1. Jeez, you already got me saying it. Kingdom Hearts
That is the
Kingdom Hearts-
magic of the Guild Decree.
Kingdom Hearts 1 had a ton of Final Fantasy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was
Kingdom
great.
Hearts 2 didn't have as much, but still continued the tradition.
Mhm.
They both had Sephiroth.
Almost
did.
none of the rest of the games.
You say it like there's been 80 Kingdom Hearts games.
There was
81.
1.5.
Go down the
There was,
list.
81.
Hey,
there's a lot of them.
If there's a point, if there's like the 1.5, that still counts as one.
You're
Sorry.
right, but there's also 365 over 2 days, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance. Like, don't get me fucking started. Kingdom Hearts 3 was like the 13th game.
But you
It
just
took
said
them
it right
so
there.
long to get to 3.
You just said it right there. Kingdom Hearts 3 is like 13 games. That means those 13 games are just Kingdom Hearts 3.
No, I said Kingdom Hearts 3 was the 13th game, not that it is 13.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I missed
it took
that.
so long for them to actually get to 3. They were like 1, 1.5, 2, 2 and a
2.5.
quarter, 2 and 3/5, 2 and a half.
To 1.3A.
All of those are remakes. But then there's Kingdom Hearts Coded, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts
Recoded.
Recoded once again was a remake, so I'm not even gonna count that.
It counts.
Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom like seriously,
He's
and
so
They had a
bad.
card game at one point.
He's
Like,
so bad.
and none of them have any. Final
Okay,
Fantasy in it.
Okay, let me adjust my guild decree then.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Just 1 and 2.
Okay,
Then I agree.
I'll take it.
I completely agree.
I'll even include 1.5,
I will second the motion.
7, and like all of that, like because they're just remakes of 1 and 2. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll go for it. But if you tell me Chain of fucking Memories at a Final Fantasy game, you can kiss the nerdiest part of my ass.
What part is that, Rick?
You're gonna
The
have
left
to explore to
cheek
find out.
with the little hair on it. I don't know.
You keep kissing it, I'll tell you where it is.
Oh, you'll know. You'll know
Keep
when you
kissing
find
till you
it.
find it.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so that'll be my guild decrees. The first 2 Kingdom Hearts games are Final Fantasy games. Now,
Okay. I can agree to that. And
They're
that
Final
being said, when
Fantasy
I
games that have introduced Disney into them.
I will say, if you are a Final Fantasy fan, there is a sequence in Kingdom Hearts 2 that is one of the coolest things, where you're running from point A to point B, and you keep running into different groups of Heartless as you fight them. And as you run into each group of Heartless, all of a sudden a different Final Fantasy character will jump down and be like, "I got your back," and then you're fighting
Yeah.
side by side with that Final Fantasy character, all
Yeah.
from
So
different
much
Final
fun.
Fantasies and stuff like that. And then you get through that wave, and they're like, "Keep going, I've got the rest of them." And then
Especially when Leon comes in.
it's fine. He's called Leon in that one.
In that game,
that
he
I'll
was.
accept. I'll accept that one.
But you get
I
to
can
fight
accept that.
side by side with Squall, Cloud,
Skull.
Tifa, Orin. I mean, like, it's just very cool.
is the second one the one where they start out on the Final Fantasy Island? Or is that the first one?
You mean Destiny Island?
Destiny.
Yeah, where the Final Fantasy 10 characters are.
That's one.
Is that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Now
was
let's-
like, I was so confused because I didn't realize that Final Fantasy, when I got Kingdom Hearts, didn't know that Final Fantasy was going to be involved in that.
Mhm.
So when that game opened up and I was on that island, I'm like, what the fuck
What?
is going on?
Like, what am I
Why are
playing?
Right? What is my life right now?
And see,
Yeah,
when Kingdom Hearts first came out, I knew that Final Fantasy was going to be in it, and that's the whole reason I wanted that game.
See, I didn't know there was any Final Fantasy in it at all until I started playing it. And I was like, what? What is this?
Waka,
This is
why
a
are you
Disney
here?
game. What the hell is Final Fantasy doing in here?
Why are you here? Why are you doing?
No, like what really confused me is like, okay, Titus I get, Waka I get, why are you here?
So weird.
Because like it's like Final Fantasy X character, Final Fantasy X character, Final Fantasy. Who was the other one who was there? Final Fantasy VIII character.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Selfie?
And
I think it was
there's 7 as
Selfie.
well.
Selfie, yeah, it was Selfie, and it was like Final Fantasy X character, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy VIII character. Wait a minute. Like, not only are we mixing our games, we're mixing our games within our games, and like this is getting confusing.
They had 2 online games, right? 11 and 13 were both online, weren't they? Or was 11 and 14?
It was 11 and 14.
11 and 14.
11.
Wait, what was 13?
13. Oh, okay.
Was with lightning and stuff, and lightning and snow.
Oh yeah,
and...
because they had 13. Yeah, I didn't like that one. It's we had like fill in like the bars with their shit. It's like you get like a punt and like yeah. Okay, that was 13. Yeah.
13 was very handholdy, and it was also like there was no variation.
There's no open world.
You go
from
A to point B, and once you reach point B, you go to point C, then you go to point D, and like there is no.
It was like Crisis Core, but with females, because Crisis Core was not really open map. You picked a destination, you went to the destination, and then went back to where your mission was. Like you had a mission, and that was it. Like, and I feel like 13 kind of picked up on that, but with female characters, because you had Lightning and
well, you had male and female characters because you had Lightning and you had Snow and
and then her little sister and
the guy who had the chocobo in his afro.
Oh yeah, that dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't play it long enough to get to him, so I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay if it was. He's like the second character you meet.
Exactly.
So
I literally went through like the first mission and was like, "This sucks."
Yes, I did too.
Where's my open world map? Like, I'm not doing this.
The difference was Crisis Core was a little mobile game on a PSP, and like that's acceptable. Final Fantasy 13 is a full-on game. You can't do that. Yeah. And then it got so popular, it got 2 sequels.
Yes. Why?
What happened there? I don't know. Now, right now, we have fans of 13 screaming at us. You can at me.
I'm screaming back. Why?
You can at me on Twitter. It's at Caster Guild. But like seriously,
I don't have a Twitter, or else I would yell back at them.
You could at me too. 13 sucks so bad I didn't even play it.
Damn.
I played the first chapter and said, "Fuck this," and screw and tossed it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done.
Yeah. It was so linear. It wasn't even fun. It wasn't Final Fantasy. That was not a Final Fantasy game.
No. It's like Final Fantasy Type O. They were not Final Fantasy games. They were just little things they threw out to keep us distracted while they tried to work on something better.
And then 14 released once. This is the first MMO, and it was really bad.
Second. 11 was the first.
No, I understand that, but 14 is an entirely different game, and it got released twice.
Yes.
So here's the thing. So 14 was released the first time, okay? And it was terrible. It got terrible reviews. Nobody wanted to play it. You had some hardcore Final Fantasy fans who stuck it out anyway. But, like, here's the thing. In the first time Final Fantasy 14 was released, in order to accept a quest, you had to walk up to the quest-giving NPC, then open a menu, then choose the interaction option, then choose the talk option, then choose the accept quest option. Then they had to talk. Now you have to open another menu. Like, it was terrible. So
it was a pain in the ass.
They did an entire event where the world ended. Like, they were like, nope, Final Fantasy 14 is done. This world no longer exists. It was destroyed by this giant monster comet. It's over.
Sweet.
Then they took a couple months to retool the entire game and make it playable. And then the world reincarnated from a crystal. So they started the
that's what the crystals are for. That makes sense.
They started the entire story over again from the start, hit a great big reset button, and they re-released the game.
It's still not that great.
No, I mean, I still don't like it, but then again, I'm not a huge MMO guy. I mean, like, I'm told if you are the kind of person who loves MMOs, that like 14 is a pretty good one.
I mean, if I have like 20,000 people playing it at the same time, yeah, but like I don't have a whole bunch of people playing online, so I'm just like, MMOs don't really mean much to me because no.
Like I said, I tried it, didn't like it, and I like MMOs.
I think it'd be easier on PC. I tried it on PS4, and it's the mouse controls are very hard on a PS4, so like it's really not worth it. But on PC, I probably wouldn't be too bad.
If that was the only thing stopping you, just to let you know, on a PS4, you can USB in a keyboard and a mouse and do the entire control that way on a PS4.
Yeah, I know. It's just actually, well, no, my keyboard's not USB. Shit, I can figure it out.
Am I the only one who played World of Final Fantasy?
No, it wasn't bad. It was cute. It was cute. Yeah,
it was
like
cute.
It was very like mission based though. Like, is that the one you're talking about?
It was the twins. It was like the twins who can turn down to chibi and then become full form. And it was basically like a Pokemon. Yeah, this game that Rick's holding up. You had to like go around and get the little monsters, and you have to basically use them like Pokemon, stack them on top of each other, and use all of their abilities. Yeah.
I saw it though, but I didn't play it.
It was cute. It was fun. You did visit some of the worlds, but it didn't really play like a Final Fantasy. It was turn-based, but you had to use the monsters or you weren't going to survive. Like you had to utilize these little monsters and go capture them.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very Pokemon-esque.
Yeah, there was also one of those Final Fantasy Crystal something.
Chronicles?
Chronicles.
Crystal Chronicles?
Crystal Chronicles. And it was all just mission-based. Like you went into this town and you went on a mission, and then once you're done with the mission, you went back to town. And like, that's what like 13 reminded me of. It was very linear. Like you went on a mission. Once you were done with the mission, you went back to the same place. Like you didn't go anywhere else. There was nothing else to do. It was just literally just go on missions and come back. Like
Crystal Chronicles was cool though because it was multiplayer. You could play with up to 3 of your friends. You could play with 4 people all at once.
Well, I never had no one to play with, so I always played with myself.
Yeah, that kind of takes away what makes Crystal Chronicles cool. So
there's also the Chocobo.
I could love some of those. I love Chocobos.
There was a Chocobo Racers game, and it was, I'm pretty sure it was like a Mario Kart where you actually got in like little cars.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
That's another reason I like 7. It's because I had Chocobo races.
Yes, there was a game like that where it was all Chocobo races.
Yep. And then 9 had a Chocobo hunt where you could go around with your Chocobo and you could hunt for hidden treasures in the world map. Like, I love games where it actually includes the Chocobos. Like, they are awesome.
They are a great part of that series. I love Chocobos.
And then 7 really did them the best, though. Again, I'm really a fan of them taking a side game like that and then making it a vital part of the game, like the tie ball.
Yes.
Because you could race them and then you could breed them as well. Because if you didn't breed them the right way, you can never get right to the round. Because you need to have a gold Chocobo in order to get Knights of the Round. Or you can beat Ruby, which is next to impossible.
And really, let's face it, once you got that gold Chocobo, it's like literally you could just do whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
Don't forget Theater Rhythm, the Final Fantasy rhythm game, where you got to fight enemies to the tunes of classic Final Fantasy songs, and like you fought them literally to the beat of the music, and it was super cool. It was played mostly with the stylus on the 3DS. It also had a great big following in arcades in Japan.
I have a 3DS, but I don't have a stylus for it anymore.
Well, you can buy any stylus will work.
Well, my cat kind of took it out of my 3DS and then chewed it up.
And ate it. Got it.
So I haven't replaced it yet. But I have a 3DS, I just haven't replaced the stylus on it.
And then there's also the Dissidia series.
Yeah,
that was good.
Dissidia started on the PSP and eventually made its way to home consoles. And it was essentially a Final Fantasy fighting game. You picked from a hero or villain from different series, put yourself together a little team, and did 3-on-3 fights that were real time. That was super cool.
I downloaded it for PS4, but then never played it.
You should. It's definitely worth a try.
I will say
again, not a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I should probably play it the next time I download it instead of just being like, I need room for this.
The PS4 version of that game is much more complicated than the PSP version, of course, because it's a full console game. But it's still got a lot of action in it. And I mean, like, if you just want to beat Squall's ass as Cloud, then that's the only place you can do it. So
Yeah, the only place.
No.
Because we all know.
Cloud would kick his ass.
No.
Omni
No,
Slash, I'm sorry.
He'd be too busy crying. No.
oh
No.
No.
and that's why it's the best game ever.
and really, and that's fine. Kane would be all about letting the kids play in the backyard, beating up on each other all they want.
I mean,
I wouldn't.
no.
Okay, there we go. There, good. Okay, good. Like it almost looked like you were about to be like, well, maybe. It was like, well, no. I said this to be, combative here. Let's just let. Don't cross over to my line. You stay on your side of the line. We're gonna have a good fight here.
Well, at this point, there's 3 lines. Which line do we not cross?
Oh yeah.
Dang.
Overkill.
Cross them all.
I mean, technically, they all cross in the middle, but that's beside the point.
Omni Slash right through all them lines.
Thank you. That's what I said. She disagreed.
No. The only Squall that I really liked was in Advent Children. That's the only Squall I liked.
Squall was an Advent Children?
I'm sorry,
No.
not Squall. Cloud. I'm sorry, Cloud.
Oh, I was.
Right.
I was like, Squall was not in that movie.
No, he's not. Absolutely not in that movie. I wish they would make a movie of 8. That'd be great. But no, Cloud.
Well, they
Cloud,
made
the
a movie
only
of 7
Cloud.
because it's better.
No, they had to explain some stuff. That's what it was.
That's
7's
true.
good. I'm
That's true.
not arguing 7 is bad. 7 is a good game.
They didn't need a lot of explanation how it ended, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
There
but
needs to
7
be
has a whole
cleared up.
extended universe. You've got Final Fantasy
Yeah.
7, and then you've got Crisis Core, and then you've got Advent Children, and then you've got God, what was Vincent's game called?
Oh, he did have his own spinoff, didn't he?
Did.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Dirge of Cerberus, yeah. That was a good one. I almost forgot about that. That was a really good game.
I like that game because you got to find out a whole lot more about Kate Sith in that game, and
Well,
you didn't get a lot of love in 7.
And Vincent was a surprisingly good edgelord character too, because you would think, oh, only the edgelords are going to like this character. It's like, oh, wait a minute, he's actually a decent character. So yeah, he turned out to be pretty fun.
He wasn't really good until he got his last limit break, though. His first 3 were kind of like, but his last limit break was definitely the best.
He was just a good character. He was a good character.
I just don't like you can't control him when he's in his limit breaks. Like, that bugs me a little bit. But other than that, pretty good.
But yeah, Advent Children. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, Squall's my favorite character.
I also like Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Like, I know it's not really attached to any of the movies or any of the games, but it was a good, like, spin-off movie itself. Like, it wasn't great, but it definitely, like, had its own, like, novelty to it. Like,
It did. Yeah.
I'm happy that you enjoyed it.
Right. Again,
it doesn't,
did not feel like a Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it doesn't need adoration. It just needed mentioning.
It's funny.
Valid. Okay.
It's funny you say that, Rick. I find myself saying that an awful lot. I'm glad. It's like the most condescending but polite thing you could ever say to someone. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Like, it really does not need an narrative, but, like, it exists, and it's part of the Final Fantasy universe, so...
I mean, I have things like
Beyond
that.
it just needs to be mentioned.
Like, when I tell people I like Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, people are like, oh, I'm happy you liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, bless your soul.
Oh, hell, I have a friend that doesn't even say that. He hates it so much, so...
Oh, yeah. A lot of people really hated 4th edition.
No,
Is it
he just
you?
hates
Are
it.
you the friend?
I'm that friend. Anyways, Final Fantasy.
We're getting off topic a little bit.
I felt a tangent rising, so let's.
Welcome to Casters Guild, Leo. It's called the Off Topic, the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
There was also, what was it? It was Final Fantasy Unlimited. There was a anime series that was out, and I had the first 2 DVDs, and it was okay. I wanted to watch the rest of it, but I don't know what happened to it. It's gone. It's gone. But it reminded me a lot of Final Fantasy, the other game that I mentioned earlier. What was it? The World of Final Fantasy. It reminded me a lot of that. It was two little blonde-haired twins, and they were doing their thing. But the anime style was different, a lot different. It was very rounded and cutesy.
Mm-hmm.
I also may have been the only one who saw that.
I haven't seen it.
I've seen it.
Another Final Fantasy game I liked is Brave Exvius for the mobile. It wasn't too intricate, but like you could pick your jobs: white mage, dark mage, knight, onion knight. Like you can go through all of the class ranges, and like the graphics are actually pretty decent for like an actual phone game. Like, it didn't really have a storyline that fit all of the other ones, but it still played on all the characters and had a depth of Final Fantasy that would be relatable to the games themselves. But it didn't actually go off of any other game. Like it just was its own little world. But it was.
You could also play as Ariana Grande.
Huh?
You could also play as Ariana Grande.
Oh yeah, they do that as well.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
But like they brought a lot of Final Fantasy games into it, and it's like I really liked it, but like it was just weird.
Yeah, it was a very weird game. Like the moment I was like, what? The moment I saw Ariana Grande on the character list, I'm like, what is this game?
Why?
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
What just happened?
I don't know. I'm scared.
Is it Ariana Grande? Did she hear us? Oh god.
Oh god, run! It's Ariana!
Oh no.
And she's Grande!
And Record Keeper wasn't bad either. not Final Fantasy Record Keeper wasn't bad. Not Ariana Grande Record Keeper.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a weird one. It's Google Play Store one. Like I played it for a while. It was pretty good, but like it kind of didn't really have any like end point to it. Like it was just like, oh, you keep going and there's no stop. It's just like, eh.
It's a mobile game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something keeps busy. Got it. Okay.
At first it was great, and then it just kind of went downhill.
It's nice to see Final Fantasy still going after all of these years and still coming out with new games and new concepts and them not being afraid to try new things with each new game. Like
before we end, I want to touch on the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay.
I was scared for Final Fantasy for a minute with the 13s when they came out with 13 and then 13.2 and then 13.3. And it was because they were working on 15 for so long.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're still coming out with new games and new ideas.
I was just really mad at the fact that they remade Final Fantasy VII and you never leave Midgard.
It's
they're
coming.
Not done. Yeah, they're not done.
It's coming.
That was just part one of question mark.
Like why? Like if you're gonna make a Final Fantasy remake, and it took them so long to do this, like they literally focused on making every detail perfect. And I get it. Like I love the graphics in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like they are explicit. Like they are amazing. Or not explicit. Explicit. Sorry. And it's just great. Like they're so detailed and very lifelike, but at the same point, the storyline is so short because they spent so much time on the graphics. And, like I would have had a little less graphics and a little more story. Like at least myself, like because like Final Fantasy VII, like they literally touched on just the first city. There's an entire
world,
couple continents, like they haven't even touched on. Like
here's the thing, and it's all excuses that I'm going to give you. Okay,
I know they are.
But I think they're all valid. Okay. First things first.
Everyone should have an asshole, yes.
The remake got scrapped so many times and they started over.
At least 6 or 7, yeah.
Like they tried to do it on the PlayStation 2 and had to start over. They tried to do it on the PlayStation 3 and had to start over. They started it over 3 times for the PlayStation 4 before they finally caught traction. So like they weren't working on this version of it for as long as people think they were. Like for what they pumped out and the time they were actually working on it, it's pretty impressive. Number 2, they did a lot of research and they found out that half of the people asking for a remake of this game never got past Midgar anyway when they played the original game. So
I'm not sure remake if you ever played the actual game.
People fell in love with that part of the game. They they're like it's the Midgar part of the game. Like if you ask,
that wasn't even the best part of the game.
If you ask a lot of people who played that game, who even call it their favorite game, they'll talk about the escape from the Mako reactor. They'll talk about the scene where Cloud cross-dresses. They'll talk about all this stuff that all happened in Midgar. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of hardcore fans that played through the entire game, that got past the golden saucer and all that fun stuff. But there's a lot of people who didn't. So when they decided they were going to make the remake, they're like, we're going to do this in 2 parts. The people who just wanted Midgar can just buy this one game, and it'll be this full experience, even though it's just the parts of the game that they remember. And now everyone who wants to play the rest of the game can get part 2, and we'll spend just as much time
3 and 4 and 5 and 6 as well, because they're going to do it in sections. And just because some asshole doesn't want to play the entire game doesn't mean I should have to pay 6 times as much because they only want to play one part.
Yeah, just wait until they're like $15 a piece and then go buy them.
I don't want to wait that
5 years
long.
from now.
I'll be 80 by the time that happens. Like the pace they're going.
Like I said, it was all excuses, but in my opinion, pretty valid excuses.
I mean, it does make sense, but at the same point, I'm just like, I'm not going to pay an extra $80 per edition just because some idiot didn't know how to actually play through the game the first time.
Spoken like a true fan.
Sorry.
And hopefully they won't Kingdom Hearts 3 it, where we've waited, 15 years for the 3rd one, and we were so excited. And then it comes out, and it is
It's nothing. Yep, it's just like, oh.
Honestly, with the backlash they got of releasing it in multiple parts, when people found out that it was just like a part 1 and just Midgar, I highly doubt they'll do more than a part 2. Like, I think they'll work on jam-packing everything else into part 2 as it should have been from the start. And I think that'll be it.
Hopefully.
Yeah. If they cater to their fans.
Yeah.
Which usually they try to, but sometimes they get a little off.
I mean, like the whole thing, if they weren't trying to cater to their fans, I don't think they ever would have even made a Final Fantasy VII remake. Like, the reason Final Fantasy has this great big expanded universe and why there's a Final Fantasy VII remake is because fans are asking for it. Like, to be honest with you, nobody else in that company wanted to continue to work on that game after it was done. They were like, Final Fantasy VII, it's done, it's over. And then everybody was like, it's the best game ever. So then they were like, oh,
let's make something better.
Yeah, they were like, we need to like actually like expand on this. Because then they were like, oh, here's 8. And everybody was like, it's not more 7. And then they were like, oh, here's 9.
It's 8.
They were like, it's not more 7. And then they were like, fine, here's some more 7. Here's Crisis Core. Here's Dirge of Cerberus. Here's Advent Children. And then everybody's like, this is more
7.
But it's
we
not
want more 7.
They're like, this is more 7, but it's not 7. Can we get an HD remake of 7? And then people have been asking for that forever. So yeah, I think if it wasn't for the fact that everybody keeps asking, where is it? And they fucked themselves over with the tech demo for the PlayStation 3. They made a tech demo for PlayStation 3 just to show how good the graphics could be on a PlayStation 3 by remaking the intro to Final Fantasy VII. And that's all they had plans to do. It was just supposed to be a tech demo. They never had plans to remake the game. And then
everyone wanted this game.
Yes. And they were like, no, it's just a tech demo. And they were like, no, you're making this game.
Well, also, if you go from the graphics on 7 to 8 and to 9, like...
completely different.
Obviously, they want to remake the game for 7 to, like, at least match the graphics. Like, they went too hard on the graphics, and it's like, okay, well, we want the story, too. We don't want just better graphics. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you can't make everyone happy either. So, like, they try to, like, start in the middle and then work from there, like, which I also get. So,
yeah.
I'm honestly... we bought Final Fantasy VII the remake just because I couldn't see us not buying it, but neither of us have played it yet. Because
I played it.
When it comes to Final Fantasy, I'm not looking for another remake. I'm waiting to see. I've played 7. I'm done with 7. I don't want to play 7 again, even if it is a remake. I'm ready for Final Fantasy 16. I'm ready to see what next is coming down the pike. And because that's one of the things I love about Final Fantasy is like every game is a different game. It's not
new.
I don't want to play 10-2. I don't want to play 13-2. I don't want to play
I did play 13, so I'm not going to play 13 too. So yeah.
I don't want to play some Final Fantasy VIII side story where we find out what Squall was like when he was 7. Like I don't.
I do.
I know you do. I don't. Give me the next.
Yeah, I want to see Cypher's side story.
Yeah,
it's part of Squall's.
Give me the next story now. Give me 16. Throw everything else away. Start over again. Throw everything away except the Chocobos. Like
don't forget the Moogles.
And give me the next game. That's what I want.
Understandable.
Just keep doing what you were doing. Stop trying to appease the fans. Like appease me, the fan, not the fans.
But no, appease me, the fan, not the fan.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not gonna make everyone happy. So they're trying to do both at the same time, but I think they're just trying to do too much at one time because they were also working on Final Fantasy VII Remake when they were doing 15, and at the same time they were doing both. And it's just I feel like they were just too focused on too many different things at the same time instead of putting focus on one thing and making it a complete thing.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
So don't give me another MMO. Don't give me another sequel. Don't give me another side story or spin-off. Give me 16.
I either finish 7 Remake or give me 16. Other than that, I'm good. If I want to play them again, I can go back and play them. Other than that, something new or finish what you already started.
Or stop.
There's going
to be a point in time where they have to be done.
Why?
Because it's Final Fantasy. You can only do so much until it's going to start to get repetitive. Until it doesn't be true, but at some point it's going to stop being Final Fantasy. It's going to stop feeling like a Final Fantasy.
You gotta be the never-ending fantasy.
Ooh,
never-ending story.
That'll be ironically the last Final Fantasy game.
Right. Right.
I was just thinking.
Final Fantasy, the never-ending fantasy.
And it'll be an MMO that tanks and lasts
no.
Before they shut down.
That's what'll kill Square Enix. Yeah, that's what'll kill them.
The Final Fantasy is the never-ending fantasy.
I think I would like to use my guild decree.
Go for it.
You ran out of time. Sorry.
So my guild decree is.
You have no more time.
The Moogle. So there's different types of Moogles. There's all different versions of Moogles, but it's still a Moogle. I'm gonna say that since Kingdom Hearts is now part of the Final Fantasy world, that
You're
the
welcome.
Moogle. Thank you. The Moogle in Kingdom Hearts is the best version of a Moogle.
See? You see that? My guild decree helped your guild decree. You're welcome.
The one and only time. Thank you, Baron.
And I'm gonna go ahead and base my guild decree off that little rant I just had, and say I'll say no Final Fantasy sequel or prequel or spin-off will ever be as good as the mainline games. Guild decree.
Okay.
All right.
That works for me. Well, just like the games, we are bringing this Final Fantasy podcast to a close. I'm sure that there will be many more in the future, just on Final Fantasy. And I'm pretty sure that with the as long as this series has been going on, we are going to have years and years of content that we could do just on this game. So looking forward to future games. All of them better be part of that main line, because we all know now that none of them are good if they're not in that main line. And I will always look forward to the next final adventure.
So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/guildtrain. We're also looking into streaming on YouTube pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that.
We are?
Yes. You can email us at castersguild@gmail.com with your questions, concerns, angry rants, and podcast ideas. And if you send us something, there's a good chance we'll do a whole podcast based off of it. So send in your stuff. Check us out for our Extra Life 24-hour stream coming up. Links in the description down below. And Leo, if anybody liked what you had to say tonight, where can they find you on the internet?
Mostly just on Facebook, Leo Coakley. Other than that, Kupo, have a good night.
All right. And make sure to check out Baron's new YouTube channel, description down below. He recently did a Halloween special that was awesome. So thanks for listening, everybody. Tune in next time, and we'll be seeing you. Goodbye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.